Hello friends, subscribers and new viewers of this channel, and welcome to Machine Learning and AI Tutorials. We are continuing strong with discovering new and exciting AI models and with explaining how to install and run them on local computers. In this video tutorial, I'm going to explain how to install and run on a local computer Ollama Deep Researcher. However, before we start with the explanation, let me give you some background information. The first natural question is, why am I creating a video tutorial about this model? Well, there are several reasons for this. Here's the first reason. Those of you who are my subscribers and who follow my channel know very well by now how much I like Ollama. In my opinion, Ollama is one of the best frameworks for hosting and running large language models on local computers. That is, by using Ollama, you can easily download and run large language models for free. The second reason is that I'm very interested in AI agents that can search internet, that can obtain information, and that can process this information, extract useful information, and even obtain some new knowledge. There are a lot of applications of such an AI agent, and Ollama Deep Researcher is in some form an AI agent that searches internet, obtains information, and I'm going to explain more details in the sequel. And the third reason is that this model has been trending on GitHub for the past several days. Over here you can see the number of stars, number of people watching, and forks. And I believe that a lot of people will pick up and start developing their own applications on the basis of this model. So let's explain the basics of this model. Ollama Deep Researcher is a fully local web research assistant that uses any large language model hosted by Ollama, and this is super important. That is, you can actually download any large language model available on the Ollama website and you can couple it with this search model. So the idea over here is to give it a topic and it will generate a web search query, gather web search results, summarize the results of web research, reflect on the summary to examine knowledge gaps, generate a new search query to address the gaps, search and improve the summary for a user-defined number of cycles. And you can see over here the block diagram. Those of you who are familiar with feedback control theory will realize that this is a feedback control method and feedback control algorithm. Namely, you give it a set point, which is a desired topic. Then over here you have a negative feedback or a positive feedback. Really depends how you're looking at it. Then here's the search query. Then you go in the research. You create update summary. Is this good? No, yes. Go back, do reflection, and run this feedback algorithm. Once you reach certain number of cycles or certain tolerance, you'll stop and you will finalize the result over here and present it. And let me show you how this thing works in practice. Namely, over here I ask the question to find the best methods for nonlinear control of UAV system and drones, and here is the response. You can see first of all the summary of all the approaches for nonlinear control of UAVs, and over here you can see some popular sources, and if you're interested in this topic you should start from here and you can go over these articles and obtain basic information. Another thing that I like about this model is that its installation is super easy. You will clone this repository, create a Python virtual environment, modify the environment file, install the necessary dependencies, and you are good to go. You will with a single command generate this nice graphics user interface and you will be able to ask the questions over here. However, before you do that, you have to download and install Ollama models. And in the sequel, I will explain all these steps. Okay, let's start with the installation. The first step is to download Ollama. Consequently, go to the Ollama website, then click on download. Since I'm on Windows, I'm going to select Windows and click on download for Windows. And this will download the Ollama installation file. After the file is downloaded, just double click on the file and you will install Ollama. So let's wait until this thing completes. Okay, after everything is downloaded, go to the downloads folder, and over here in the downloads folder, double click on the file, wait for a second until the file is loaded, and you just need to press the single button, that is this button, and Ollama will be installed, and that's it. After Ollama is installed, you need to verify the installation. To do that, you simply need to click here and you should see this active icon that's currently being loaded. This means that Ollama is running. Another method is to start a command prompt, and in a command prompt, after you open it, type Ollama, and if Ollama is installed, you should see this generic response. Good. The next step is to download a model or several models. Now, here you have to be very careful and you have to take into account your computer specifications. Let me show you what I have. I'm going to click here and start Task Manager. And if I click here on Performance, you can see here my CPU. It is Intel i9 108050, so it's basically 4-year-old CPU. You can see that I have 10 cores and 20 logical processors. However, the most important thing when it comes to large language models is your GPU. And you can see that I'm having RTX 3090, which is a decent GPU, and the most important thing about the GPU, it has 24 gigabyte of RAM, and this is the same amount of RAM as NVIDIA 4090. However, this graphics card is a little bit slower than NVIDIA 4090, and consequently, since I'm taking into account my computer specs and my experience with large language models, I will test 2 models, or 3 models, better to say. First of all, if you type QWQ here in the search menu of Ollama, you will see this hosting web page, and you will see 32 billion parameter QWQ. QWQ is actually Alibaba's recent model. It performs very well. That is, this is an excellent model. Its performance is slightly worse than full DeepSeek R1 with 671 billion parameters. However, this model only has 32 billion parameters. And I'm going to install this model. To install this model, I'm going to copy this command. Then I will go back to the terminal. And then in terminal window, I'm just I have to correct myself. So I have to click and search command prompt. Be careful, not PowerShell. And over here, just type Ollama, and instead of run, type pool and press enter. And this will download this model. Now, besides this model, I'm going to install another model, and that's a DeepSeek model. However, before you proceed with downloading and installing DeepSeek, or better to say, distilled versions of DeepSeek, go to this main website or GitHub repository of Ollama Deep Researcher and find this section, Model Compatibility Node, and read it well. Here there are some results, what works, what doesn't work. They're claiming here that Llama 2 3.2 works well and DeepSeek R1 8B work well. However, DeepSeek R1 7B has some issues. Now, since I have a 3090 GPU, I'm going to install DeepSeek R1 14B parameters. So over here, search for DeepSeek R1, and I'm going to click here, and I'm going to copy this command. Then I'm going to open a new command prompt, and in the new command prompt I'm going to simply type this command and enter, and this will download DeepSeek R1 14B. And finally, I tested the classical and the oldest one, Llama 3.1, with 8B parameters, and this is the classical model. It's actually published, I think, around or update maybe 3 months ago, so it's a little bit outdated model. However, we can still test it. Copy this command, open new command prompt, and over here type Ollama pool and press enter, and this will download this model. Now, it might take even 15 to 20 minutes to download everything. I was able to download everything in parallel by executing everything in 3 terminals. Consequently, be patient. After downloading and installing all the models, we can proceed further with installation of Ollama Deep Researcher. So let's learn how to do that. Well, first of all, open command prompt, and inside of this command prompt, you need to go back to the base C folder or C drive, and then over here you need to clone the remote repository. To do that, you need to install Git, and installation of Git is super simple. You simply need to search Git install Windows, then go over here and then click here and select over here 64-bit Git for Windows setup. Click here, download the file, and you will be able to install Git. After you do that, simply type Git in your command prompt and you should see this generic reply. Let's continue further. You need to clone the remote repository. To do that, you just need to type git clone, and then over here you need to specify the address. The address is the same as the address of this website. However, you just need to add git at the end. And that's it. Press enter. So what happened over here? A new folder is created on our C drive, and the name of this folder is Ollama Deep Researcher. So let's go to that folder. Inside of this folder, we need to do the following. First of all, we need to create a Python virtual environment. However, you need to have Python on your computer. Type Python --version, and if Python is installed, then you will see your Python version. If not, go online, search install and download Python. It's literally one file and you will be able to install Python. So let's continue. Once you install Python, we need to create a Python virtual environment. We create it like this. We can create it like this. And after we do that, we need to activate the Python virtual environment. We just need to execute this command, and now we are inside of the Python virtual environment. Now, before we proceed further with installation of the necessary packages and libraries, we need to do several modifications. Now, open the Explorer, navigate to your C drive and find Ollama Deep Researcher. Over here, you will find a very important file, .env-example. Do the right click, open it. Use, for example, Notepad or any text editor you want. Let me do this. And over here, we need to specify several things. Okay, so first of all, we need to specify Ollama base URL. Usually Ollama, if it's installed by using default settings, is on this local host address. Note over here that this is not the internet address, this is your local host address. And if you type this in your web browser, you should see Ollama is running, and if that's the case, then Ollama is running on this local host. So simply copy this, paste it over here. Okay, so this is the first modification. So what's the next modification? Let me just do this. So you need to specify the Ollama model. So what is your Ollama model? Well, if you go back to the terminal and if you have installed all the models, then after typing Ollama list, you should see them over here. And over here, you need to select the model. Let's go first with this deepseek-R114B. So copy this name and paste it over here. Okay, let's do it. Good. Don't leave any space over here. So now we set two things. We specify from where we are running Ollama, and we specified the Ollama model. The next step is to specify the search engine. We are going to go with the basic search engine, which is DuckDuckGo. For that search engine, you don't need an API, so you just need to specify this. Now, in the case if you want to go with Tavily or Perplexity, over here you need to specify the API keys. However, here I'm going to comment these lines. Note over here that the comments are the same as commenting lines in Python. Over here you need to specify max web research loop, and if you go back to the GitHub repository and if you scroll down, here you have some suggestion. So here they're saying max web research loops. The maximum number of research loop steps defaults to 3. So what's happening over here? By default, this loop over here will be executed 3 times. However, I would like to go with a little bit longer execution and more accurate. So over here, I will go with 5. Okay, 5. And over here, you need to specify this option, fetch full page, and I'm going to specify true since I want to get the full pages, and save this file. However, after saving this file, you need to change its name. So go over here and change the name, and the name should be .env. Okay, so this is the configuration file for your model. Now if you go back to this website over here, they're claiming to do something like this. This will only copy this file with .env.example name into a new file whose name is .env. You can just do it in Explorer as I did. Okay, save everything and let's continue further. So what is the next step? The next step, as suggested over here by this website, is simply to install the necessary libraries. And this is super easy. That is, the installation of this software is very easy. Just copy this, paste it this here, and press enter, and this will install everything. This is relatively lightweight model. You'll see that you're not downloading too many stuff. The main thing is LangChain and some supporting libraries, since all the heavy stuff is performed by Ollama, and Ollama in that sense is very nice since it somehow integrates CUDA by itself, so you don't need to install PyTorch and all sorts of things. And after that command, you simply need to run this command over here, press enter, and this will install command line tools for LangGraph. So be patient over here, this is not going to take too long. And finally, we are ready to start the graphics user interface. You just need to type this and bang, and that's it. So this will actually automatically open your web browser or your default web browser, and it will start the graphics user interface. Simply ignore this message. However, let me show you one thing. If it doesn't start by itself, then you can simply copy this address in your web browser and it will start. So you can see the address over here. Okay, so let's start using this method. First of all, click here and make sure that the parameters are okay. You can see here we have read actually .env file. Everything is fine over here. This is what we want. And here you can also manually by yourself change your model. So for example, if you want to go with some other Ollama model that we just downloaded, then you will put it over here. So let's close this and let's start with a question. So how to learn control theory? Actually, this is not a large language model in that sense, so we should be very careful what we are asking. So what will happen now, after we pose the question over here, we will go to web using DuckDuckGo, then we will search, then a large language model will process this, you'll have several loops, etc. So let's, for example, type this, best books on robotics. So let's see what's happening, and let's submit this and let's see what's happening. Okay, so here first step is to generate the query, and you can see how it's being generated in the JSON form. Then here we are in the web research where the results are being generated. You can see here in expand, you can see what happens, where we are searching, etc. And you can see summarize sources, you can see what's happening over here, etc. You can see how fast and how quickly everything is running. Let's start and look in our GPU consumption. You can see that my GPU loaded the model. You can see how much GPU resources are being used. This is truly amazing. CPU is around, let's say 16-15%, which is not bad, and works like a charm. And notice how fast is DeepSeek R1. So now we are currently in these loops. Loops are being run extensively. So we are doing now reflect on summary. Then again, this is the second loop. And here I specify around, I think, 6 loops. You don't need to go with, I think 5, yes, 5 loops. So you don't need to go with 5 loops. You can maybe go with 2, 3 loops or something like this. However, this is truly, truly nice since you're doing an iterative way of obtaining the results. And you can see these are classical books on robotics control, and you can see everything. Good. At the end, we will obtain the results. And finally, you will get this summary over here. To find the best book on robotics, it is essential to consider various aspects of the field, including technical, ethical, social, and practical applications. And you can see technical foundations. This is what this whole system is recommending. Robotics Modular Principle by Mayer. I agree, this is a relatively old book, but still good. And this is also a good book over here. Modern Applications and Integration with AI. And here's another book over here. Then you can see a book on ethical consideration, society, future implication and risk, practical application and case studies, and career guidance. Okay, so that's it. And here you can see over here the sources, and that's it. You can go through these links and you can find everything, or you can obtain further information. Okay, that's all for today. I hope that you like this video. If you like the videos I'm creating, please press the like and subscribe buttons, and see you in the next video tutorial.